Hi, and welcome to Aimee Nolte Music. Look, if you've listened to Top 40 radio in the last few years, chances are you've heard something that sounds like this. Brace yourselves.
Now you say I got a touch, so good, so good.
I know, right? Kinda seems like the world's gonna end or something. Like, how could we possibly have let it come to this? At first, when I heard this kind of thing, I'm kind of thinking, all right, Aimee, if you're gonna keep up with the current trends, you gotta stay one step ahead. Like, I need my own crazy, weird way to sing stuff. It's jazz in my case. So I thought about it, and pretty sure the next trend, started by me, is gonna be constipated Kermit the Frog. Summertime! What do you think? I promise never to do that again. But it actually doesn't seem so crazy, does it? I mean, you hear that.
Now you say I got a touch.
It doesn't sound so crazy, really. So I feel your pain, I get it. But after thinking about this for a few years, I think I might know how to comfort you a little bit. Maybe like reassure you that music isn't doomed forever. I think we're all gonna survive to see another day. Why? Well, it's because this isn't really a new thing.
So good.
All right, so this is a new thing. But the idea of singers pronouncing things super weird isn't that new. My first thought was, what is this accent? I'm searching through my database in my brain of accents I've heard in my life, and the closest one I think I could come up with is maybe Australian, touch, right? Good, maybe? All right, but the only Australian singers I know sound like this.
There's nothing left to talk about lessons horizontally. John Cougar, John Deere, John 316.
All right, so, there goes that theory. So just because somebody's from a certain region doesn't mean that they have to sound like they're from there. The effect that the British invasion and the New Wave movements had on America show us that if you like the way music sounds from another place, go ahead and copy it.
20, 24 hours to go. I wanna be sedated.
The Ramones came out of Queens, New York.
It's not the perfume I do wear.
The Cars hailed from Boston.
What the rock loves to shine.
Athens, Georgia.
Do you have the time?
This one kind of reminds me of...
In Hertford, Hereford and Hampshire, Hurricanes hardly ever happen.
Oh no.
but just California. And of course, there's the Killers.
Smile like you made it.
But Brandon Flowers is just a Mormon dude from Henderson, Nevada. Now, I don't think you can say any of these singers did a bad thing by copying their British heroes. But is it always okay to fake an accent?
Look down my pants, look up my butts, I'm so informer. You know, say that I'm a snowman, I go glam.
Jim Carrey didn't think so.
Imposter, I'm just a middle class worker from Toronto. In spite of how I sound.
Now, much more common than the Americans copying the British are the British copying the Americans.
When it burned, well, I cried 'cause I heard it screaming out your name.
Now, I absolutely adore her, but she doesn't sound like that when she speaks.
And it was just like a black screen with white writing, just with the lyrics of a bit of the first verse of Hello.
I could go on and on naming wonderful singers from the UK who don't sound at all like they come from the UK when they're singing. Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Elton John, Freddie Mercury, George Michael. The list goes on, and that's okay. I wouldn't want those guys to sound any different than they do. But then, of course, there were these guys who just completely owned their Scottish roots.
If I heaver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's heavering to you.
All right, I know. We're supposed to be talking about these smug pop teenagers pronouncing things like,
You're bitter, hard, cold to the touch.
and I haven't forgotten that. But look, pop and rock stars have actually been pronouncing things really weird for a super long time. Especially when it comes to songs with female names in the title.
My Peggy
And perhaps the craziest of all. As crazy as these performances probably sounded to the audiences they were played for back in those other decades, audiences remembered them. You think Little Richard would have had a hit on his hands if he just said, Lucille? Or do you think we would even remember remotely the prostitute that Sting was trying to save so heroically if he had just said, Roxanne? So sometimes a strange pronunciation of some word can make the song much more memorable. I mean, here I am making this video all about the way Selena Gomez says the word good. I'm making a whole video about it. She definitely did something smart. Another idea I had was that sometimes when artists marry a lyric with a melody, the lyric just has to be tweaked a little bit to make it fit. One example is Creedence Clearwater Revival's Bad Moon Rising. You know, there is a bathroom on the right.
Don't go around tonight.
Don't come out tonight. It's bound to take your life. This is not the same, is it? You add that night, and all of a sudden, more memorable, more fun to sing. Also worth noting is that there are certain sounds in the English language that just don't sound very good, like the sound.
Do you remember when it first died, September?
Do you remember would not have nearly as pleasing a sound as that nice remember. Although I'd never say that talking to you, would I? And check this out. If you're taking voice lessons anywhere, a major part of your study, whether you're studying opera or country, is going to be vowel sounds and vowel placement in your mouth. Singers are always thinking hard about what kind of vowels are leaving their body as they sing them. In fact, the very best jazz singers have been coming up with unique ways to say their vowels for the better part of the last century.
So the Bible said, and it still is new.
Is your mouth a little weak? What a wonderful world.
I suppose the only thing that sets these examples apart from the ones we're talking about today is the fact that Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald and Frank Sinatra didn't actually decide to say world themselves, you know, and copy Louis Armstrong. It's not like Louis Armstrong said world and then everybody decided that every song they're gonna sing from now on has I got the world on a string and it's a Barnum and Bailey world. No, it didn't happen like that. So it was a little different. As we move into the 21st century though, we can see a lot of singers that have contributed to the strange way that words get pronounced now. Let's just listen to a few notable examples.
Feel the love, feel the love. It crawls into my hollow chest, spreads over the empty nights.
Alright, so back to the idea of vowel sounds. In my opinion, these singers are taking words that normally have one vowel sound or a monophthong and turning them into diphthongs, vowels that have more than one sound. Kind of like the way that we just say ooh and that has one sound, but if we say the word I, it has two. It has the ah and the e put together, I, right? So when Shawn Mendes says the word touch and it becomes touch, when we hear that, well, when people over 30 hear that, we just think, that is ridiculous. Why is this a thing? But when people below 30 or maybe like below 25 hear that, they just think, this sounds current. I'm gonna copy it. And in pop music, it's bound to happen. Now, if you actually want an answer to where the touch and us and good, thing came from, my very best research efforts have actually traced it back to this fine singer.
I go back to us.
I'm curious to know where you think it came from, but I do think it started right around then with Aimee Winehouse. Of course, it's much more subtle when you listen to her, but check it out. I think you might find the same thing. If you've got a different one, let me know. I really don't have a problem with it because I think that it's going to pass or morph into something else, or we'll get tired of it and it'll just completely vanish somehow. That happens. Music changes and that's just the way it is. We gotta be cool with it. Otherwise, you're getting old. The problem I do have with it, however, and I didn't even realize I had this problem until I attended this jazz camp last summer, is that a few of these kids got up on the stage and they went, "Birds flying high, you know how I feel." Uh-oh, jazz. We're in trouble. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if learning about music just happens to be your thing. I'll see you next time on Aimee Nolte Music.